Hey, what's up everybody? It's Alfaro here, and today we're going to be ranking all of the Tunnel of Terror cards from worst to best. And remember, this is my opinion, so you may agree with it, you may not. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But I have a lot of experience with No Hope and Nightmare, so I'm going to be putting that in perspective when ranking these cards. But let's get into this video. So there were a total of 12 cards that were added to the expansion, and we're going to start with the 12th one on this list, which is the worst one, and that is Power Strike. Every 3 seconds gain plus 10 bash damage, stacking up to 10 times. All charges are consumed on use. So basically, whenever you see your character use the fist, that's what they mean by bash. But let's be real, when you're playing No Hope, when you're playing Nightmare, you know, the only time you're actually bashing is like, let's say you're shooting and you're reloading, and in the middle of that reload, you want to bash them back, then that's useful. But what is the point of having that card gain a lot of damage over time if you're not going to go up and punch a tall boy? He's not going to die with this card. Like, you can have a damage card, a temporary health card instead of this card. So I think this is the most useless card in this expansion. So let's move on to number 11, which is Bodyguard. When a teammate within 5 meters is attacked, you instead receive 75% of that damage, can trigger once every 3 seconds. So let me tell you something. Do not use this card if you're playing with randoms. Do not use this card if you're playing with bots, because you're going to be taking a lot of damage because they all take damage. So if you had a bot mom jumping up and down, just getting smacked by Ridden, you're going to take all that damage most likely because they're going to get hit hard, especially if you're playing on No Hope, because, you know, those Ridden hit different on No Hope and they run different too, trust me. But this card, to me, the only way it can be useful, I guess, if you playing with friends that are new to the game and, you know, you don't want them to die and you want them to experience the level, so you would stack up on healing cards and health cards so you don't die, and you know how to manage the game while you help out like your new friend or family member that are playing the game. But overall, I don't see Bodyguard as a must card in your deck when you're playing No Hope. Now let's move on to number 10, which is Stealthy Passage. Allows disarming of doors, car alarms, and birds. The target will trigger if you are interrupted. Disables quick slot. Team effects gain 25 copper per success. So by now, if you don't know how to avoid car alarm, birds, and door alarms, then I don't know what to tell you, especially in No Hope. You know, you want to avoid that stuff. And plus, this disables your quick slot, so you won't have a toolkit, a defib, razor wire, stun gun. You know, those are pretty useful. I like to use defibs when I play with bots because they die a lot, but they take a lot of damage and they do a lot of damage. So I rather, you know, have that chance to have them back. Overall, I think everyone should be able to know how to avoid door and car alarms and birds. But, you know, that's just me. And I think the quick slot inventory portion for your character is very important. So let's move on to number 9, which is Overprotective. When a teammate within 15 meters receives 5 or more damage, gain 20% increased damage for 5 seconds. So your teammates need to take damage so that you can do increased damage. This card and 2 other cards rely on your teammates having to do something or something happening to them for it to proc. And I really don't like cards like that. But this is a damage card, and there are a lot of damage cards you can use instead of this one, which is why I don't think this is very, you know, effective, you know, for the deck builds that I make. So let's move on to number 8, which is Bravado. When a teammate within 15 meters receives trauma damage, gain 10% of that amount as trauma health. So you will have a lot of trauma in No Hope unless your team is like moving like a freaking SWAT team, going in order, like everybody got the front, the back, the left, the right. Then, you know, I don't expect that to happen in No Hope. You know, everybody's usually everywhere, and sometimes things get chaotic and, you know, stuff happens. Somebody gets crushed by a crusher and they start getting trauma damage. This is a good card to have if you already have trauma damage. But yeah, other than that, I don't personally use it. But hey, you could try it out for yourself. But I've already tried it, and it's not really that useful for me in No Hope. Now let's move on to number 7, which is Sadist. When a teammate within 15 meters receives 5 or more damage, gain 20% of the damage as temporary health, can only trigger once per second. Personally, I think this card is useful since we're in a temporary health meta. And overall, if you have temporary health, you know, during fights where you have trauma or you have bolstered health, this is very useful since, you know, you guys are, let's say you're getting overrun in No Hope it's always, you know, beautiful to have temporary health. So, you know, your main health doesn't diminish and you start getting trauma damage. So that's why I think this card is pretty valid, if you ask me. Now let's move on to number 6, which is weaponsmith. Allows the ability to unbolt attachments from weapons outside of safe rooms. Unbolting attachments cost 400 copper. Additional copies of weaponsmith plate reduce its cost by 100 copper. I have a video talking about weaponsmith, so if you're interested, check out my channel or check out the card above. But overall, I think you should be able to remove attachments for free. That's my opinion. You know, you can hate it, you can love it, but that's what I think. And when you're playing no hope, copper is very rare, and copper is like a commodity that you can't just be like making it rain everywhere with. You know what I'm saying? You got to keep that, and you got to hold that, and you got to spend it on something useful. And when you do the hives and when you progress throughout the campaign, you'll always find better weapons, you know. So if you really want to unbolt an attachment that you really want, it's going to cost 500 without this card and 400 with it. And then down to 100 if everyone has the card on. So I personally don't use it because, you know, I like my copper and I like to spend it wisely. Now let's move on to number 5, which is well rested. Plus 20% team overheal and plus 5 team healing efficiency. So overheal converts a portion of healing done beyond your maximum to temporary health. Like I said, we're in the temporary health meta, and this is a very useful card to have in your deck if you want to build a deck around temporary health. Now let's move on to number 4, which is pumped up. Your temporary health decays 20% slower. 1 additional pain med spawns in each map, plus 5% health. This card is clutch because usually your temporary health goes down pretty fast, but this slows down the process. Plus you get extra pain med and plus 5% health. This card is clutch and is a must if you're doing a temporary health build. Now let's move on to number 3, which is pinata. Killing Ridden with an accessory has a 15% chance to drop an accessory. This is one of my favorite cards and is a must if you're doing an accessory build with Hoffman or Hang. This card is a beast. And if you have a pipe bomb and you know you're trying to pipe it up, let me tell you something. You throw a pipe bomb and like 20, 15 Ridden get on that and explode, you're bound to get an accessory because that's a lot of Ridden that just died from your accessory. So this card is just top tier. That's all I gotta say. Now let's move on to number 2, which is fit as a fiddle. Plus 20% team bolster health, plus 5 team health. This card is so good. You need to use it in any of your temporary health builds, but also if you want, you know, extra health in any build you have, put this card in there. I used it a lot throughout my no hope runs, but if you really want to see it in action, I'll put a card above for my Act 2 no hope run. Basically, bolstered health is temporary health on top of the health you already have. So you'll see like a purple bar on top of your white health, and like you use a pain pill, or if you have like face your fears or something that gives you temporary health, you'll see that bar go up, and it basically protects your main health, which is beautiful in no hope. That's all I gotta say. Put this card in your deck. It's that simple. Now the number 1 card in the Tunnels of Terror DLC is Magician's Apprentice. You have an additional 10% chance to not consume accessories when used. You know how many times this came in clutch for me in no hope? I used a bandage, and guess what? I got it back because this card procced in. Or I used a med kit on my bots, you know, to heal them up. Guess what? I got another one, so I healed the other bot. You know how clutch that is? Or even if you throw a pipe bomb and you're like, dang, I got the next part of this mission is going to be a straightaway. I need another pipe bomb. You may get lucky, get that pipe bomb back so you can reuse it again. It's just that clutch. Or frag grenades, any of that stuff. Defibs. I defibbed 2 bots at once, and it was just beautiful because I was like, Pete, you back alive, let's get back in it. Pete, you back alive, let's get back in it. But then they die later on, so you know it'd be like that sometimes. Magician's Apprentice, top tier. Put it in your deck. No matter if you're using a dock build, an accessory build, use it because it might come in clutch at the end. Even if it's your 15th card that you put in, like your last card, you're on the verge of picking a card, pick this card. Overall, that's my list of the Tunnel of Terror expansion cards. I don't know, you know, it may be different from yours or it may be the same. But let me know in the comment section below your top 3 cards from the Tunnel of Terror expansion. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn that notification bell on. This is Alfaro, signing out.